Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into the 13th Christmas update from GWV. So here we go, we're reached the halfway point of our Christmas updates for this year. We've got 25 penciled in, and so number 13 gets us to the halfway point of the Christmas Countdown. I shall get on it for you in a second. We'll have a look at CFS V2 12Z as well as the GFS Extended Control Run. So, yeah, all of that's coming up for you in a moment. It's a busy day at GWV today. We've got Terry Scoll's December and winter forecast being revealed today. We've got a 10 to 14 day with all of the great features. And if that wasn't enough, live streaming at 6 o'clock. So we'll have a chat about our final winter update that we release on Sunday and Monday. Of course, it's head winter forecast from GWV. It's being released tomorrow evening. I'll show you some trials out as well. Just hang out for a bit and make up for having to cancel Sunday's live stream at the last moment. So that's going to be great. That'll be coming up for you. That'll be coming up for you at 6 p.m. Right, okay, Christmas update time then. So, thank you so much to Richard for the amazing Christmas updates gift. I love it. I love Christmas updates gift. Thank you so much. Rich, I'm going to get a mince pie in a moment and have a nibble of that because I'm feeling very seasonable looking at Christmas updates gift. Thank you so much, Richard, for the amazing GWV's winter Christmas updates gift. Right, so I'm going to say that the storyline with Christmas updates so far has been generally for a mild Christmas. We have had one or two that's been a little bit cold, but generally said there's been trading very mild for this Christmas period. We shall find out in a moment what it's got to say, man. We're just still looking for trends at the moment within the CFS V2. We can't tell you what weather's going to be doing, at 3 p.m. on Christmas Day, because it's only first day of December, much too far away for that kind of detail. So just want to try and get the trend within mild. The trend has been very strongly and heavily in favour of a mild Christmas. It has to be said. It might be the wrong trend in the end, but that has been the trend so far, and we shall see what CFS has to say. Now, we're also looking at the GFS Extended Control Run now. And in around I think it's around number 18, I think number 18 normally, where we start using the GFS exclusive, and that's where we will begin to get a little bit of detail going. When we're around a couple of weeks before Christmas, we will then be able to start thinking about the detail somewhat. But for the time being, still just looking for trends. Right, so let's move over to wetter then. There we go. And we're going to start on 15th. So remember, the closer we get to Christmas, the narrower the time frame becomes. And that is when we start thinking more about the detail. Using the 12Z again, so the CFS is run 4 times a day, but if you're making a comparison to past updates, it's always best to try and use the same, run, if you like, all of the time, and then you can't be accused of cherry picking any particular outcome. This is purely the way that the charts come out. We use the 12Z for no particular reason. It shouldn't make any difference compared to the other 3, but, that's just the one we've historically used, so I thought let's keep on with that again for another year. So this was generated 12Z midday on the 30th of November 2021, and we're starting on the 15th of December 2021. We're going to begin on the 15th of December. We've got high pressure sitting to our west and southwest, and we're bringing in like a westerly flow, so a little bit showery and maybe slightly on the cool side with that. That high pressure builds up from the southwest to go to the 15th and 16th of December, brings lots of dry weather, very mild it has to be said. This high pressure is centred over France and southern parts of England. To the north, that we're drawing in this long fetch southwest, so it looks really mild there, especially for more northern and western areas. That's the 18th of December, again, mainly dry for England and Wales, very mild with southwest winds for Scotland and also for Northern Ireland. That's the 19th of December, getting close to Christmas, still looking mild, mainly dry in the south. Could be frost and fog, of course, with that high pressure in the south. Just depends whether it's clear high or cloudy high. So it might be a little bit cold of air from frost and fog, but generally this is a warm ridge. We're dragging up these southwesterly winds, particularly Scotland and Northern Ireland, and that's a very mild pattern. Now, changing slightly on the 20th of December, as that high pressure begins to drift towards the eastern side of Europe, low pressure begins to move in from off the Atlantic Ocean. That's bringing wet and windy weather. That takes us through 21st of December. Shortest day of the year. Looks pretty wet and windy, actually, with low pressure out to our west, with strong winds and outbreaks of rain in from off the Atlantic Ocean. 22nd of December, looking properly wet and windy there, especially so for more northern western areas. At least it's mild though, or at least it will be mild, with winds in from a southerly or southwesterly direction. That is the eve of Christmas Eve. Again, looking quite unsettled with this CFS 12Z run. Winds are coming in from off the Atlantic, and they're bringing spells of rain with them as well. That's Christmas Eve. So Christmas Eve is going to be a mild Christmas again. This Christmas Eve is bringing in like a west-southwesterly wind with high pressure still rooted over Spain and Portugal. Low pressure to north of Scotland still wafting in those very mild west to southwesterly winds. That's Christmas Day. Looking rather wet and windy in the north, it has to be said, with this area of low pressure, high pressure still anchored, still rooted over Spain and Portugal, still bringing in these very mild west or southwesterly winds. So this is another mild Christmas. Update number 13 is another mild Christmas. That's Boxing Day. Again, high pressure is there over France, Spain, Portugal. Starting to ridge a little bit further northwards now. Still mild, still dragging in those southwesterly winds. There is high pressure beginning to build over Scandinavia. So that's interesting. That's like to the far north of Scandinavia. It's a proper Arctic sort of high pressure. It's pushing south into Scandinavia. So that is that's a real Scandinavian high. It's very, very cold there associated with it from the Arctic and Siberia. However, up to Boxing Day, we're looking mild, still dragging up those southwesterly winds. Now, this is 27th December, so moving out beyond Christmas, although 27th, 28th of December will be bank holidays, of course, this year. We find the high pressures, again, just starting to build a little bit more to our south, and it's starting to slow down the progression of these areas of low pressure in from off the Atlantic. Now, that's the 28th of December. It's still mild, really, at this point, but high pressure is beginning to centre around the country. So I would have thought by this point it's probably starting to get a little bit colder. Certainly it's drying out. We're losing the wet weather. And I would have thought we'd begin to get a little bit colder, maybe with some frost and fog starting to get going. By the 29th of December, moving towards the new year, the high pressure becomes centred right over top of the country. Notice high pressure is still up there from Scandinavia into northwestern Russia. It's still lurking. Is that going to make a move? I wonder. This is the 30th of December. Again, that high pressure right over top of the country brings loads of dry and fire. By this point, I reckon under that high pressure, although it's still a warm ridge technically, in terms of the upper air temperature, I think at this point we are probably getting quite cold now under the area of high pressure with a fair amount of fog and frost likely. Now, that is New Year's Eve. It's starting to look much more interesting, isn't it? So we've got high pressure, our warm ridge is ridging up towards that Scandinavian/Siberian high. We're also raising the heights towards Greenland as well. So they become increasingly blocked as we move towards the new year. We've got this deep area of low pressure in the North Sea. Is that going to plunge south? Let's see what happens. So that starts to moving towards Norway on New Year's Day, the first day of 2022. Looks like it's poised to bring some much colder weather for the new year. We've got heights really rising around Greenland, Iceland, and extending back to that sort of Siberian type high. So this is the day after New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. This is the 2nd of January. We're into 2022 now, and we're suddenly starting to look much colder, much more interesting. Low pressure is plunging southwards through northern Europe. High pressure blocking around Greenland and extending back into northwestern Russia as well. There's very cold air across northern Europe. Look at those upper air temperatures. Bitter cold upper air temperatures from Scandinavia back into western parts of Russia. This looks like it's going to unleash it, I think, through the first week of January. So that's the 3rd of January with high pressure blocking around Greenland. Iceland. It does extend back into the Arctic. Low pressure plunging southwards across Europe. Winds are turning into the east, and we are now beginning to draw in those very cold upper air temperatures on those northeasterly winds. So we'll have increasing threat of heavy snow moving in from the east here with these bitterly cold east to northeasterly winds. See my 10 cells iceberg digging in from the east, bitterly cold, with increasing risk of snow sweeping in from the east. Very, very blocked around Greenland and Iceland, extending back into northwestern Russia as well. That's the 5th of January. Again, looks really cold, doesn't it? Across most parts of northern Europe. So again, bitter cold, heavy snow, and you know, that has really unleashed it into New Year. So it may be another mild Christmas, this update, but my word, we really do get it as we move into the new year. That's the 6th of January. We need to lower the heights a little bit. CFS does that a lot. You know, it will get us out of block patterns far quicker than would happen in reality. But still looking very cold on the 6th of January as well. Very, very cold and wintry across most parts of Europe. This area of low pressure to the south is going to have a go pushing north. So that's a proper old blizzard there on the 7th of January as that low pressure comes up from the south. It's trying to introduce milder winds and will probably do so as this is the CFS, but ahead of it is gale force easterly wind. Is really cold, and of course there would be a lot of snow being dumped on the south as well via that easterly wind. Actually, the low pressure does struggle, so even into the 8th of January, but still very cold, still very snowy, especially for more southern areas, and I don't think we're infiltrating much mild air, except into the extreme southern part of the country, so still pretty cold and snowy up to that point. And I'll just run on. So it actually stays cold, surprisingly. I thought the CFS would sweep that away within a couple of days, as the CFS tends to do that. But actually, you know, into the second week of January, we still keep those very cold easterly winds going. So remain within cold air on the 10th of January. And yeah, it looks like going to keep it cold, you know, in towards the middle of the month anyway. So we're well beyond Christmas now, so not much point going any further than that. But the CFS really unleashing it into early January and into you know, around the new year and whatnot. Right, so that's the CFS done. Mild for Christmas, but very, 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 very much colder for New Year. Let's just have a look at the GFS extended before we go, then see what that one is showing. So go beginning on the 15th of December. High pressure away to our southwest. What's going to happen with this one? Let's push through. So running up towards Christmas, GFS extended again, kind of similar to what the CFS was showing, actually drawing up those quite mild southerly southwest winds via this area of high pressure sat across central and some eastern parts of Europe. Again, it's trying to reach a high pressure up towards Scandinavia there on the 20th of December. 21st looks a little bit poised, doesn't it? A little bit poised on the 21st of December with that high pressure over Scandinavia. I don't think it's going to come off. But we're increasing anticyclonic barriers. We're running up towards Christmas. A lot of dry, frosty weather, I would have thought. Quite seasonable sort of feel, even if it's not overly wintry. That's Christmas Eve. Again, we're sort of within a ridge of high pressure. It's quite a cool, bringing in quite a cool flow from the continent. So I would imagine that's quite seasonable feeling anyway, with a risk of overnight frost and fog. That is Christmas Day with the GFS extending. The heights are there over Scandinavia, although it isn't a proper Scandinavian high or easy wind. Low pressure is trying to come in off the Atlantic. I would have thought that could bring some rain in towards Ireland, but most areas will probably be dry and still probably quite cold, with the air coming in off the continent. Beyond that to Boxing Day, again, very little change. And as we go up towards the new year, again, but it looks like GFS extended is going to raise the heights to the northeast. So by the time we get through just beyond Christmas, actually the wind starts to turn into the east. Upper air temperatures are starting to show colder air beginning to push in from the east on those easterly winds. And it looks like it's going to get increasingly cold and maybe quite wintry as we run up towards the new year. So plenty of blocking there around Greenland and Iceland again. Low pressure to our south-southwest. That could bring some snow to some of the southwest areas as it comes up against that cold air. And yeah, look at that. New Year's Eve with the GFS extended looks very, very blocked, I have to say, with winds in from the east, and nowhere near as cold with those easy winds as CFS was showing, but nevertheless, you know, it's much too far away, that kind of detail. Anyway, it's all sort of a trend, maybe around the new year, for things to get increasingly blocked via these big areas of high pressure, and running on into the opening days of January, generally staying quite cold, with a fair amount of blocking. And you will notice that we are starting to move some severely cold air into northern parts of Europe by the 4th of January. So I guess that's kind of similar trend to the CFS as well, but into the about January, northern Europe begins to get very, very cold. So, let's go back to that. Quite an interesting update, isn't it? Although the CFS is still looking mild for Christmas, it does unleash that big freeze-up and ultimately blizzard through the first week of January. The GFS is extending is nowhere near as severe as that, but still the trend is there within the GFS extended to raise the heights to our north and east between Christmas and New Year. It's probably been a little bit colder for Christmas itself, actually, from frost and fall, but between Christmas and New Year, it does raise those heights towards the north and northeast. And so we've got both the CFS and the GFS extended looking cold and wintry here by New Year and into January. So we shall see. That's just how it looks today, and we'll find out in update number 13 how things... No, update number 13. We'll find out in update number 14 how things are looking. And we've got that one penciled in for Friday. But actually, I think I might have a day off. Very, very unusual for you to have to take a day off, but I think I might have Friday off this week after I release the winter forecast on Thursday night. So we'll probably do update number 14 on Saturday, I would have thought. And we'll find out then how things are looking. Right, so that's update number 13 for the Christmas updates done, though. Interesting that one, wasn't it? Quite interesting. And we'll see what update number 14 has to say on Saturday. But for this one, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.